So the Olympics has just come to a close at time of recording this, and I really enjoyed the Olympics. I mean, shaky start, shaky start, it's got to be said. But once the sport got underway, I just had it on the TV constantly, just in the background at the very least. And I really enjoyed it. And I just love watching sport, and that's why. But every now and then, I was flicking through, because I'm on the Discovery, had the Discovery Plus thing going on, so you can watch every sport live. And I'd scroll through the sports along the bottom of the screen there, and I was like, what's that doing here? Like, what is that doing here? 3v3 basketball. That's just like your lunch break at school, right? That's lunch break at school basketball. Half court, quarter court basketball. Like, take it up. Like, when you get the possession, take it up, and then you can have your go. Especially from an Australian perspective, less that can be said about the breakdancing, the better. And then your old culprits is synchronized swimming. Not that look, guys, I'm not saying these things aren't hard, an elite amount of athleticism. But sometimes I just think to myself, is it sport? The rhythmic gymnastics? No. Get rid. The synchronized swimming? Get rid. Too much like interpretation of art for me to be considered sporting. Not objective enough in terms of how you decide the results. Like a race. That's why I really like the cycling, the running, swimming, and team sports. Most goals wins and all that. The equestrian does my head in, because if equestrian can be in it, and this is where we're going with this video, motorcycling can be in it. Whether on the track, on the dirt, flat track, speedway, cars, race cars, open wheelers, touring cars, rally. Why is rally not in it? This stuff is physically demanding, far more than riding a horse, I'd say. Sorry to all the horse riders out there that might offend there. I know you got to like sit up a bit, sometimes, and, hurt your butt or whatever. I don't know. Long story short here, guys, we're creating a Moto Olympics. If Grand Prix motorcycle racing was in the Olympics, who would represent your country? So what I've done is I've made it a 20 rider race, and I've picked only one rider per country can compete. One rider. It's not like the athletics where it's like the 8 quickest guys are in the final in the 100-meter sprint, and it's like half Americans and half Jamaicans. That would be, if you're trying to get the very best, maybe that's how you do it, but that's not as fun. It's not as fun for me to come up with all these different riders from obscure nations to see who would represent your nation. If your nation doesn't get mentioned here, let me know in the comments who you would pick to represent your nation. What bikes do you use? Would it be like a production-based 600 like in super sports, or a super bike, the 1000cc? I don't think you'd go for small bikes, because then you just have the heaps of 16-year-olds riding around for gold medals. We want guys at the top of their game. And then I thought, well, we're doing this as a MotoGP channel, so I'd say let's not do production-based bikes. Let's do more of a Grand Prix style bike. So does that leave you with like a Moto2 bike? That then changes who you select, because would you go for a Moto2 rider or a MotoGP rider? So let's do a Moto2-ish style bike, where it's like minimal electronics and all that stuff, no wings and shit. Everyone has the same one, but let's chuck a 1000cc engine in it. I'm talking like, that KTM track bike they've got, the RC8C, but let's just make it a leader bike. So that we, because it's a MotoGP, we're doing a MotoGP. It's the Moto Olympics. It's the Moto Olympics. So let's just pretend that bike exists. And the last thing to think about is, where is this race going to be? We've got some great options. We've got Le Mans, the iconic Le Mans. We've got places like Magny-Cours, things like that. I think for this race, the Olympics, close to Paris, has to be Le Mans. Who's riding for your country? And guys, before we start, we are so close now to like 700 subscribers. We're within 20. So there's not many of you that need to hit subscribe now. So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, just make sure you hit subscribe, and let's get into it. Let's start with a few of the obvious culprits. And there was a lot on the list here. Italy, as your current world champion, Pecco Bagnaia would get the ride here, but there was a lot of options here. Bastianini, Bezzecchi, Digi, Morbidelli, Marini, Bullaga, Bassani, Rinaldi. I've got them all written down here. It would have been Pecco though, because we saw this little like Ducati day that they did. Put him on any bike, Pecco brains ya. Pecco's the best. He's the best one-on-one at the moment. Spain, your other one. Now, this one is hard, because do you take informed Martin, send him to the Olympics, because he's just the most informed Spanish rider at the moment? Or does Mark probably pulls rank, doesn't he? Mark pulls rank, is like, no, the Olympics, I'm going. He's the big dog. So would it be Mark or Martin? You let me know. I've got Martin on form, but I think it would probably be Mark. Let's put Mark. You're taking Mark. Or would you just go for young exuberance of Pedro Acosta just to back him 1v1 on same machinery? Just like a little mad dog that he is. And then beyond them two, most of the other countries, there's not that big of a conversation. But let's go through some of the obvious ones. The French, for their home Olympics, they're sending Fabio. We'll mention Zarco, but they're sending Fabio. The South Africans sending Brad Binder. Portugal, Miguel Oliveira. The Turks. How would Toprak do in this? As the Turkish representative in this race. I think this is low key medal chance here from Toprak, and he'd pull out the whole celebration, wouldn't he? After his mate did it in the shooting. That was awesome. So there's some of the bigger nations, the bigger riders that have picked themselves. There's a couple here that I've got that are maybe, would you take one or the other? Japan have to choose from Taka Nakagami and Ayagura. I think at the moment, you might take Ai on this style of bike. Maybe. I know we're going for a bigger engine, but we're going for like the non-MotoGP. So we're going for like a hybrid MotoGP, Moto2 bike. Let's take Ayagura as the informed man. Let's go for it. Now, my home nation, and we are beasts at the Olympics. Look at the per capita. I want you all to look at the per capita. Athletically superior nation, the Australians. Although people will say like the Dutch and that, but they only win cycling medals. Like it's not a spread out over all sports. The Australians win at everything. Very strong country athletically. Us Aussies. I mean, look at me. You know, it's just how we breed them. Remy Gardner or Jack Miller? I mean, toss a coin. Who would you take, Remy Gardner or Jack Miller, to represent Australia at the Olympics? On seniority, I think you'd take Jack, and the fact that he's on a MotoGP bike. Though I really like Remy. But let's take Jack. Now, I've got a couple of interesting countries to get through here as well. The United Kingdom, who finished below Australia on the gold medal tally there. Now, this is interesting because the UK is the kind of country that produces exceptional riders through like more of the superbike style bike. Now, I said that's not what we're using here. So the only other option for this style of bike, you're looking at like Jake Dixon or a recently retired Cal Crutchlow. I still think I'd just take a chance and be like, you know who deserves to go? Jonathan Ray. Now, here's where it gets contentious because he's Northern Irish. That's part of Great Britain, so I'm told. But as you see with the likes of Rory McIlroy, they can choose to represent either. He's going to represent either. I don't know where Johnny's allegiances lie. Someone ask him for me. Let's put him as Ireland, right? Let's put him as Ireland. And in saying this, actually, if it was a production bike, you'd also consider Dunlop, wouldn't you? It'd be great to see him do it. If it was a street circuit, you'd be like Dunlop. Yeah, if it's like an Isle of Man style thing, you get Dunlop. But let's go Ireland, Johnny Ray. And then let's send Jake Dixon for Great Britain. Let's get them both out there. So Jonathan Ray, be interested to know who he'd ride for. That's a real thing here, by the way, guys. It's very confusing. Are they Irish or are they United Kingdom and Northern Irish? But like I said, based on the Rory McIlroy thing, we're sending him for Ireland. And then for the good old US of A, let's send Joe Roberts. But you also could consider Garrett Gerloff or like a Bobier or something, right? We're sending Joe Roberts. Now, we're getting into some of the nations where we'll be lesser fancied, I guess. Maybe not as high profile, let's put it that way. The first one from that lot that I've got written down is the Swiss, Agata, Domi Agata. So Domi Agata is going to be there representing Switzerland. Somkiat Chantra is representing Thailand. I like the sound of that one. Only one option for these countries, really. I've had a look through. No really other serious contenders I'd put up there with these two. The Netherlands has a choice to make between Van der Mark, Goldberg, Ben Snyder, and Colin Vire. Let's take the most senior option here. We're taking Van der Mark because I like him. I like Van der Mark. Vire, you wouldn't take him just because he's not experienced enough. You know, not riding big bikes. I know he's a big lad. But he's just a Moto3 rider. So we're gonna take Van der Mark there. The Czechs, we're taking Filip Salac, Barry Baltus to represent Belgium. The Germans have a choice to make between Marcel Schrotter, Stefan Bradl, Stefan Erdl, and Tulovic. The problem with this is none of them are that exciting. None of them are really like, yeah, I'll send him. Like, I wouldn't be happy with either. I just feel like we're just sending an also ran here. Let's take Marcel Schrotter. And then closing out the back of the grid. I mean, I almost got to a point here where I was really scraping. But I've ended up with Brazil, with Diogo Moreira, which I think is fine. I think he'll have a good go at it. It got tough here. This is for the 19th spot on the grid. Because for 20th, I've got somebody a little bit special. For the 19th person in the race. I mean, I was choosing between like Finland, Indonesia, and Andorra. So I've got Thule, Mahendra, and Cataluse. Who would you send? I was going back to like Supersport 300 riders and stuff here by the time I was trying to find someone to fill this last spot. There may be guys in your country or guys you know riding in, BSB or Moto America or Australian Superbikes that I don't know about from one of these obscure countries that could do a job here. It might be better than some of who I've come up with here. But honestly, it could have done all day just going through different championships and stuff. But I've gone with Finland's Thule. Maybe you take Carlos. I've been very unimpressed with Carlos over the years. So let's get the Finns in there. And our special last place on the grid, we're going to actually be like chaos ball here and be like, just throw him in there, see what happens. Colombia is going to be represented with David Alonso. And just to see what happens, right? So that's our grid. Tell me who you think would win. Who's your top three? Who's taking gold, silver, and bronze in this one? I'm gonna go with home race. Pound for pound, is he one of the best on the grid? Fabio Quartararo to take gold, just with pure desperation. You know he's a fighter. Gold for the French on home turf. Silver, I'm taking Pecco for silver. And just by the way the race might play out with circumstance and things like that, I think on his day, a one-off go at it, Jack Miller for third, bronze for Australia. So tell me your top three that would happen from this grid that'll be on the screen now. All on equal machinery, and let's see how it goes. And of course, like I said earlier, if you're from a country I haven't mentioned and you've got some like hidden gem lad running around in some championship somewhere, let us know who he is and what country you're from in the comments. And I'd like to have a look at it. I want to see what he's like. And yeah, this is a fun little one to sort of research and do for you there. So hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.